If you want to win more games in StarCraft 2, you need to learn how to macro properly and efficiently. In this quick guide, I'll share with you my experience from many years of playing in Grandmaster League, and I'll give you 3 tips on how to improve your macro control. First of all, what's macro? Well, simply put, it's spending resources quickly and in the right way. Generally, you always want to keep on building workers until the very late game, and you also want to expand every couple of minutes for every race until you have at least 5 bases. Economy is always the priority for any macro game because it snowballs and allows you to speed up your pace significantly. This is why you should avoid building unnecessary production buildings or army units if you don't need them right away or if you cannot really afford them. Having a greater economy allows you to outmass your opponent and usually win most of the games. Bigger economy just gives you an extra chance to come back if you lose a fight, and the bigger army simply gives you better chances at winning directly. So now let's get to some nuances. Whenever you play a StarCraft 2 match, macro is usually the most important thing in the game. Well, unless you get cheese early, which happens quite a lot.
Bruh.
But anyway, it doesn't matter how well you can macro your units if your opponent simply has 2 times more army supply. There's only so much value you can squeeze out of any unit, and to be honest, you probably can't even macro like Maro or Parting, so why bother? Actions that you perform at your base matter the most. Your supply blocks, your workers' production, your build order. This will give you a much bigger benefit than a slightly better Link Harass or Reaper Micro in the beginning of the game. The same is true for mid-game and early-late game. If you struggle a lot with floating resources and supply blocks, try playing just a bit more passively and get yourself an economic advantage first. The problem with many professional build orders is that they are just not suitable for most levels. This is especially true for all action-packed things like aggressive openings and pressure. Pro players do that to kick an opponent off and seize the initiative in a game, and they can do that because usually they already have the skill level that allows them to be quick enough not to mess up at home, but even in Grandmaster League it's still very exhausting and demanding. I do not recommend you to play micro-intensive build orders until you accustom yourself to perfect macro mechanics. If you really want to do at least something aggressive to set up the pace for your games, try just scaling down your micro-intensive units. For example, instead of building a Banshee, just build a Liberator and just shift-click it to the base to do the harass without your direct control. Instead of an Oracle, build a Void Ray and clear out all the overlords on the map. It's not the same damage, and of course at one point you'll probably need to learn Oracles and Banshees and all other demanding units, but it will do the trick for now. Remember, harassing your opponent is only 20% of success, while macro is 80%. But if you are not in the Grandmaster League, it's much better to resort to more passive build orders for a while until you learn your macro mechanics and it becomes a habit. If you still feel like playing more aggressively, learn a massive free base push or big timing attack that ends the game in one go. This allows you to experience 8 or maybe even 10 minutes of non-ending macro followed by an intense micro control period, which is perfect for mastering the game. This is probably the most boring one, but it's still very important. To get good at macro, you need to develop a habit of doing cyclical things every minute or so. Each race has at least one repetitive mechanic: mules for Terrans, boost for Protoss, and injects for Zerg. For the latter, it's even harder since you also need to spread creep and also place your overlords for map control. The best way to master this is to learn it like a cycle and keep on repeating it. Start with the most important thing, making workers, then drop mules, then place a supply thingy if needed, and then repeat. This is necessary specifically for Zerg race because the amount of actions you need to perform just skyrockets around minute 6. You now have 3 bases and you have to perform at least 3 injections, 3 creep spreads, worker production, scouting and overlord placement, and this is just a lot of stuff to go through. How do you speed it up? Apart from making it a habit, you need a quick means of traveling between your bases. Mouse movement won't do the trick, so I suggest using camera hotkeys. They're very easy to learn and you can customize them as you want. I usually use only 4 camera hotkeys for 4 locations and I designated F keys for that. Here you can see how fast I can move between my locations and perform all the necessary actions. This is pretty much it. Macro is probably the hardest thing in the game and there is no easy shortcut, but with these 3 tips you'll be able to progress much quicker. Just stick to the plan and keep on improving. Thanks for watching, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and see you next time.